Joining us for this week's Your Health segment is Gabrielle Judd, clinical dietitian at the University of Maryland Medical Center. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much for having me.
So many people have New Year's resolutions to lose the pounds that they just put on over the holidays.
Oh, yeah.
Where do we start?
So I think really the best place, well, you should have really started like a week ago and thought about your resolution beforehand, because really I think my biggest tip about making a resolution that you can keep is to not just jump into it. Don't just pick something because it's trendy right now, or don't pick something because that's what your friend or neighbor is doing. Really, look at your life and see any aspects of it that you want to change. It's really individualized. I think that's going to be the best way to keep your resolution. So even though we might be a few days past the first now, if you haven't really taken the time to think about it, I think, waiting at least a few more days to start your resolution would be best.
And get it right.
Yeah.
How do you think about calories? Are they all the same, or is a carbohydrate different from a protein versus something else?
So your body really runs off of carbohydrates. Even when you eat foods that contain fat or protein, it turns into carbohydrate. That's your main source of energy. But when thinking about calories and this, or those different things in the terms of weight. So carbohydrates and protein have 4 calories per gram, whereas fat has 9 calories per gram. So oftentimes it can be advantageous to reduce the amount of fat that you're eating in your diet, just because you can eat an equal portion size and it's going to provide 2.5 times more calories.
Do you have a sense of what makes some people able to stick to a plan for a long period of time, not just a week or two?
So I think one of the big things, that I've just seen working with various patients is that you jump into it too fast, like I said, or you get really excited in the beginning, but then, you go from one extreme to the other. You go from, maybe just someone who kind of hangs out on the couch, snacking, not really worrying about their diet, to trying to be like a super fit, calorie counting, marathon runner person. And, you've got to go through that in-between phase. You can't just go from one to the other. It's really like a learning process. I think the resolutions should be something that should be a lifestyle change, really. You don't want to keep having the same resolution year after year, because that means you didn't really do what you resolved to do. So I think just really putting the time and effort into it. And I like to kind of think of your resolution, you think about it a little bit vague, and then set sort of like mini goals throughout the year, because in that way too, you can, celebrate throughout the year, and you don't have to wait till the end of the year when you're like, oh, I lost this weight. And again, because that's so general, so maybe you think you could lose 10 pounds, but maybe you only need to lose 5, or maybe you could lose more. But if you, haven't really done your research beforehand, or met with a professional like a registered dietitian, or even like your primary care physician, then you don't really know how to set a specific goal like that for yourself. So I think kind of just getting an idea of what you want the change to be is really the best thing to do. What
you do must be really rewarding, because you get to see somebody and follow them through the course of reaching a goal.
It is, and really I think what the most rewarding thing is, not only do you get to kind of grow and learn with that person, but it's, from the first time they see you, especially, meeting with a dietitian, a nutritionist, every time I see a new patient, they're always like, oh gosh, I got sent to the dietitian. It's like, getting put in timeout or something. So no one's ever happy to see me at first. But then, once they start reaching their goals, they get more excited and they're more eager to see me and talk. And then, when we get to the point of when, maybe they met their goal weight, or when maybe they made the lifestyle change that they wanted, they're just so excited. They're practically busting down the door to the clinic to come in to tell me yes, I finally made my goal weight. They just feel so proud of themselves, and they want you to be proud of them. And that's, I feel like, for me, is the best part.
Let me remind our viewers, if you have a question about losing a couple of pounds and getting your diet in shape, give us a call. Do it quickly. The number is up on the screen. How honest do you think people are with you on that first visit? Oh, no,
so, okay.
I never have any potato chips or whatever.
So definitely not on the first visit. I've gotten really good at doing probing questions, to where when someone's like, oh, yeah, I don't snack.
Don't ask me, though.
Yeah.
So, thank you.
Yeah, so someone's like, oh, I don't snack. And I'm like, oh, really? So then, I ask them something. Then I kind of circle back around to it. And maybe, then someone will either let their guard down, or they'll forget what they said. And, you got to kind of poke around at people at first, because again, it definitely can be a very touchy subject, and I understand that. But I think, really it's like just telling me the truth. It's like, kind of like no judgment. It's like, but for me to help you, then I need to know. So
how do you think about snacks? I mean, do you tell a patient, cut out the snacking?
No, definitely not. I love snacking personally. Snacking is great, especially if you're someone that, for me personally, I, get up and go to work at 6 a.m. and then maybe I don't get lunch till 12 and then maybe I don't get dinner till 7 or 8. That's way too long to go without eating. So just making sure you choose the correct snacks. So I like to try and recommend snacks that are between 100 to 200 calories and trying to use like whole grains, fresh fruits and vegetables, or low-fat dairy products as snacks more often.
Let's grab a call. Arlington, Virginia. This is Christina. Christina, thanks for the call. Go ahead.
Hi. Thank you for taking my call.
You bet.
I'm looking at something that I see on many products, the carbohydrate count. For example, in this cereal, it's 20 grams. They break it down to 3 grams of fiber, 1 gram of soluble fiber, 1 gram of sugar, and then they just have 16 grams of other carbohydrates. What are those?
Christina, thank you very much for the phone call. How closely do you look at nutritional labels?
Oh, so I was just in the grocery store with my roommate last night, and I had to keep stopping almost every 30 seconds because I would see a new product and I wanted to read the label just so I can keep up with it to talk to patients about this. So I'm very active in reading the food labels. And so, Christina, when it says carbohydrates, it talks about total carbohydrates, and then some labels, like the one you have, do break it down into various types, but kind of like those others that aren't labeled, that's what we just consider like starch, just general carbohydrates. And so things like fiber and sugar are labeled just because the consumers want to know about them more. So fiber, you want to know about that because it's good for you. It helps regulate your digestion. It can help lower your cholesterol. So that's like something you want to have in your diet. And sugar, we need to be aware of that because, sugar is just kind of like the empty calories. It's those carbohydrates that are going to get dissolved and burned up really quickly. So if you're not using those calories, then they can be
would
stored.
that be the top thing that you would ask somebody to look at in addition to total calories, sugar?
So it really depends on what the patient's goals are, or if they have any other disease states or things that we need to watch for. But a lot of times watching for added sugar definitely is on top of the list. So right now, kind of the FDA is working to maybe put added sugar specifically on the label. But right now, while you can't, you just have to recognize that
Gabrielle,
some sugars, yeah.
We're going to have to leave it there. Thank you so much for being with us.
Your health segments are a co-production of Maryland Public Television and the University of Maryland Medical System.